In the shadow of prayers, I learned to breathe slowly, where words fall softly without counting their steps. My lips move like tired birds at dusk, while my heart stays bowed, unfinished. The night spreads its mat beneath my ribs, and silence becomes a language I finally understand. Tears do not ask permission here, they kneel before they fall. I raise my hands, empty as abandoned wells, hoping the sky remembers my name. Every unanswered whisper returns to me wearing the weight of patience. Faith flickers like a candle in restless wind, yet its shadow is longer than doubt. I stand between hope and fear, a thin wall built of trembling breath. Memories pass like slow clouds over my forehead, some heavy with rain, some already broken. I ask for strength, not miracles, for light, not escape. In this shadow, even pain learns to pray, even wounds fold their hands. The heart repeats what the tongue forgets, again and again, without sound. The walls listen more carefully than people do. They remember every name I whispered and withdrew. Time slows its breath beside me, as if afraid to interrupt devotion. I speak to the unseen with a cracked voice, not loud enough to echo, not quiet enough to disappear. Each word leaves a bruise on the air. There are prayers that never rise upward. They sink instead, deep into the chest, where the heart keeps its unfinished sentences and waits for understanding. I have learned that hope does not shout. It sits patiently in the corner, like an old parent watching a child learn how to stand again. The moon peers through broken clouds, a witness with no answers. Its light touches my forehead gently, as if blessing my confusion. I kneel until my knees forget their shape, until pain becomes part of devotion. This body is only a temporary shelter for a soul learning endurance. Some nights, I pray without asking, just breathing in the direction of heaven. Even silence feels holy then, heavy with meanings I cannot name. Regret walks beside my faith. They know each other well. One reminds me of where I fell, the other of why I rise. If mercy arrives, let it come quietly. I am tired of sudden storms. Let it sit with me in the dark, until my heartbeat forgives itself. Here, in the shadow of prayers, I am neither strong nor broken, only human, holding on to light with trembling, faithful hands. The floor remembers my tears better than my face does, each drop a map of where my faith has traveled. I bow my head, not from defeat, but from the weight of all I carry unseen. There are names I cannot speak aloud anymore. They tremble too much on my tongue, so I place them gently inside prayers and let God read them instead. My past sits quietly beside me, not accusing, just breathing. Even mistakes grow tired of screaming. They want rest as much as forgiveness. I wait in the space between answers, where patience is taught without words. This waiting is its own kind of worship, slow, aching, and sincere. Sometimes I envy those with loud faith, their certainty like a drumbeat. Mine is softer, like ash falling, but it still warms what it touches. The sky does not open every time I ask, yet something always opens inside me. Perhaps this is the real reply, becoming wider than my pain. I have learned that prayers age, they wrinkle, they mature. What once asked for escape now asks for strength to stay. The heart is a fragile mosque, cracked walls, open roof. Yet every sincere bow turns ruin into sanctuary. When darkness presses close, I remember, even shadows need light. So I hold on, whispering slowly, not to be saved from the night, but to be guided through it. Here I remain, unfinished but faithful, standing where fear and trust overlap. In the shadow of prayers, I am still heard, even when I cannot hear myself. Morning arrives without knocking, its pale light unsure of my wounds. I wash my face, but not my thoughts. They stay kneeling where I left them. The call to prayer drifts like a memory, soft, familiar, unforcing. It does not pull me forward, it waits for me to arrive. I stand, then hesitate, as if heaven might notice my hesitation. Even doubt bows its head sometimes, just to see what happens next. The world outside moves with confidence, cars, voices, busy intentions. Inside me, everything walks barefoot, careful not to wake the pain. I pray for those who never learned how, for hearts locked behind pride or fear. Their silence is also a prayer, even if it has no shape. My hands remember positions my mind has forgotten. Muscle becomes memory, and memory becomes mercy. There are days I feel unworthy of asking, so I offer gratitude instead. Even broken voices can say thank you. Even cracked cups can hold water. I place my forehead on the earth again, dust meeting dust. In this moment, nothing separates me from the truth of being small. If forgiveness is written anywhere, it must be here, in the simple act of returning again and again and again. I rise slowly, not transformed, but lighter than before. Perhaps healing is not sudden light, but shadows growing less afraid. So I walk forward with quiet faith, carrying prayers like hidden seeds. Some will bloom unseen, some will remain roots, but all of them belong to the shadow that taught me how to pray. Evening lowers its voice around me, as if the world knows I am listening inward. The sun departs without explanation, leaving questions warm on the horizon. I sit with my back against tired walls, letting breath become remembrance. Not every prayer is a request. Some are confessions made to the dark. The heart rehearses old sorrows quietly, not to reopen them, but to make sure they still hurt less than they used to. I have stopped asking why so often. That word grew sharp over time. Now I ask how to endure, how to soften, how to trust. Stars appear like small permissions, proof that light survives distance. They do not rush to answer me, yet their patience feels like kindness. Some prayers are born from joy, others crawl out of grief. Both find their way upward. Both are carried by the same unseen hands. I forgive myself in pieces, slowly, imperfectly, each fragment placed gently beneath the shelter of mercy. When sleep approaches, I hand my worries to the night. If I must dream, let it be of peace, or at least of rest from asking. And if tomorrow brings the same weight, I will not call it failure. I will call it another chance to kneel, to whisper, to remain. For faith is not a door that closes. It is a shadow that stays even when the light feels distant. And in that shadow of prayers, I am still learning how to stand. The night deepens, folding itself around my shoulders, a cloak stitched from unanswered questions. I do not resist it anymore. Even darkness has lessons it insists on teaching. My breath slows into something like surrender, not giving up, just giving space. Some burdens grow lighter when named softly. I think of all the prayers I borrowed from others. My mother's trembling hope, my father's silent endurance, the faith of strangers passing me unknowingly. Their words still echo in my chest, long after their voices have faded. Perhaps prayer is a lineage, passed down through quiet resilience. I trace invisible scars on my heart, each one a reminder of survival. Pain does not always leave, but it learns where it is not welcome. There are moments when belief feels distant, like a city seen through fog. Yet I keep walking toward it, guided by instinct more than certainty. I ask for balance, not perfection, for courage that does not shout. Let my faith be steady like the earth, bearing weight without complaint. When loneliness sits beside me, I offer it a place, not a throne. Even solitude bows when prayer enters the room. I have learned to trust the pauses, the long spaces between words. God often speaks there where language finally gives up. If my prayers arrive late, let them arrive honest. If they arrive broken, let them arrive sincere. For in the shadow of prayers, timing matters less than truth. And truth, even whispered, finds its way home. Dawn waits at the edge of my patience, not rushing me, not retreating. Its light is thin, almost fragile, as if it knows how easily hope can break. I step into the day carrying yesterday quietly, like a folded letter in my pocket. Some messages are not meant to be reread, only remembered by their weight. The world speaks loudly of winning and losing, but prayer teaches me a softer language. Here, survival is a victory, and staying gentle is strength. I watch people pass with guarded faces, each one carrying private storms. How many of them are praying silently, hiding faith behind routine? My own heart has become a witness, less a judge, more a companion. It walks with me through doubt, never leaving, even when tired. I ask for clarity, then accept the fog. I ask for answers, then accept the wait. Perhaps trust is not certainty, but choosing not to turn away. Some prayers are answered in reverse. The wound remains, but the fear dissolves. The burden stays, but the shoulders grow stronger. I have stopped measuring faith by joy. Even sorrow can be sacred ground. Tears, too, know how to bow, how to fall with intention. If today asks more of me than I have, let prayer be the bridge. If my voice shakes, let sincerity carry it across. I do not need to be fearless, only faithful enough to return. Again to the quiet corner, again to the humble posture, again to the shadow that shelters me. And so the journey continues. Not upward, not outward, but inward, where prayers leave their shadows and become light. The afternoon leans against my resolve, warm, insistent, asking me to remain awake. I carry ordinary tasks like small offerings, each movement a muted hymn. Dust gathers on windows and thoughts alike, yet light still finds a way through. Perhaps clarity is not cleanliness, but courage to let light touch what remains. I listen for answers in the spaces of routine. The clink of a cup, the sigh of a door, the pause before a name is spoken. God hides well in the ordinary. There are prayers shaped like habits, kneeling disguised as persistence. I keep showing up, even when belief feels thin as thread. Showing up becomes the miracle. I remember the days I begged for proof, a sign bold enough to silence fear. Now I accept smaller mercies. A calm breath, a softened memory, a night that does not collapse. Gratitude arrives unannounced, not loud, not complete. It sits beside sorrow and teaches it how to rest. They learn to share the same bench. I forgive those who could not stay, not because they were right, but because I am tired of carrying them. Release, too, is a form of prayer. When doubt returns with familiar footsteps, I do not slam the door. I ask it what it needs and remind it where hope lives. They nod, uneasy, but quiet. As evening approaches again, I gather my scattered intentions. Some will remain unanswered, some misunderstood, some already fulfilled without my notice. I place them all into the same silence, the one that has never failed me. In the shadow of prayers, I am still becoming, still asking, still listening, still held. Twilight settles like a second breath, cooling the sharp edges of the day. I feel the hours loosen their grip, time learning how to kneel. The sky changes colors without apology, teaching me that transformation does not always ask permission. Even endings can be gentle. I light a small hope inside my chest, not for display, only for warmth. Faith does not need an audience. Voices fade, footsteps thin, and I am left with my truest self, the one that trembles less in the quiet, the one that finally speaks honestly. I confess my weariness without shame, for even prophets grew tired. Strength that never bends has never learned compassion. Some prayers feel like returning home after years of wandering. The door opens not because I deserve it, but because it was never locked. I sit with my back straight, heart bowed deeper than posture. Words fail, but intention remains, and that is enough tonight. I think of the countless prayers released into the dark by others. Lost lovers, grieving parents, souls whispering from hospital beds. Mine joins them quietly. If heaven listens collectively, let it hear this chorus of endurance. Not a demand for relief, but a declaration. We are still here. Night thickens, patient and vast. I rest my worries inside it, trusting they will be returned lighter. Sleep, too, is a kind of faith. And in this gentle surrender, wrapped in the shadow of prayers, I close my eyes. Not in escape, but in trust. The stars pierce the night with quiet insistence, each one a prayer I cannot fully understand. They shine without needing applause, teaching me that persistence alone is enough. I remember hands raised in desperate hope, fingers trembling like reeds in wind. Even fear, when honest, becomes devotion. Some nights I pray for things that cannot come, Yet my heart speaks anyway, because silence cannot hold everything. I place my regrets gently at my feet, letting them curl into the soil of patience. They are not erased, only transformed into lessons I carry softly. The wind moves through broken windows, brushing against my skin like forgotten whispers. Even absence speaks, even what is missing teaches presence. I have learned to bend without breaking, to fold sorrow into prayers until it becomes a shape my soul can hold. There are prayers that never rise, but they do not vanish. They settle inside me, a quiet reservoir of hope. I think of those who will never hear me and pray for them all the same. Compassion does not demand recognition, it only asks sincerity. When dawn comes again, I will not see miracles, but I will see myself standing, still willing to speak, still willing to listen. Faith, I realize, is not a flood of certainty, but a stream that quietly nourishes every hidden corner of the heart. And so I remain, in the shadow of prayers, a pilgrim with no map, yet guided by the quiet light that lives inside every unspoken word.